Give it to them. Oh, what the hell, man! It's a buddy of mine who's a lawyer. Well, I'm gonna read them their Miranda rights. Like, bro, you're in Mexico. The legal system doesn't work that way. Just pay the guy, and you're out of there. So you get guys that come down, they act like idiots, and then they ruin it for the rest of us. So I'm starting to see more standoffishness, if that's a real word. If not, I'll make it a word. I'm starting to see more of a standoffish attitude from people towards Americans here. And there is a growing anti-American sentiment because, again, you do have guys that are not well seasoned traveling abroad and interacting with people that aren't like them to where they kind of ruin it for the bunch for the rest of us.
Right. Yeah. And just to kind of piggyback off of what you just mentioned, right? So in Medellin,
you can't get away with that in Medellin. You can't be an asshole there.
Well, there's a section. So there's a section in Medellin, and they have different sections. So where my apartment is, it's in Poblado. So
that's where I stay. So Poblado is to Medellin what Polanco is to Mexico City.
Right.
Like exactly. the highest class neighborhood. Yeah.
Right. So there's a section in Poblado, and it's called Parque Lleras. And so
the infamous Parque Lleras.
So in this section, you have all type of foreigners. Like I've seen guys from the UK, Australia. I've seen guys from the States, all different shapes and sizes, black, white, indifferent. And
Colombia's got everything too.
Well, yeah. So, but I'm talking about these guys.
In terms of foreigners,
yeah. So they congregate, they congregate in Parque Lleras, they get really obnoxious, being very disrespectful, and really not understanding, what's really going on. And I tell guys this privately. I've said this on my channel. Like, once you leave the United States, no, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Leave the United States in the United States. When you get to these countries, whether you're in Mexico or Colombia, leave the US BS there, because you're in someone else's different country, and then you mess it up for other people. So now they're looking at people who treat people with respect, like Jared and I, and they're like, and they kind of have a frown on their face because they're like, oh, these gringos are messing it up. And so they think that we're part of the people who are messing it up. But it's like, no, we actually have respect for your country. We have morals, and we're going to treat your people properly. But it's like, maybe someone who may have looked like me, probably went somewhere and then, acted a fool. Maybe someone who looks like Jared went somewhere and acted a fool. Now they see Jared and I, and then they think that we're fools. And it's like, no. And which is so messed up because, and that's the thing, because a lot of guys who, like foreigners, they don't think about what's going to happen after you leave. After you leave, there are other people that are going to come, and then there's going to be some BS that's going to happen or could possibly happen, right? To where it's like, no, these guys were actually innocent, but the guys who were not innocent did not care about the other guys who will be visiting after them. Okay, perfect example. So there's this guy, and so he went to the strip club, and he's throwing money in the air and all this other stuff. And I'm like, dude, like, this isn't Atlanta. This isn't Miami. Leave that there. Leave that there.
I call it the U.S. degenerate culture. And a lot of guys bring that down here. Like, I'm going to act big and tough and hard. I'm like, do not do that in Mexico, because there are actual people here, and they're embedded in the government at the highest levels, and they kind of have a lax legal system. Don't do that. Or I've been at bars where guys are getting mouthy with local guys, and then they eventually get bounced. I'm like, well, great, now I have to leave because you punched this guy in the face. He's making phone calls. I speak Spanish, understand Spanish. He's calling for backup. And since you were having a beer with me, they're going to think I'm here with you. Now I have to leave. My night's ruined too. So thanks, buddy.
Exactly. And this is why I'm very careful about who I associate with, who I travel with, because what you just mentioned, right? You're with the guy, whatever the case is. He gets super inebriated, gets into it with a local. They come to fisticuffs, right? He's calling his boys for backup. And here's the thing, these Latin American guys, they're small. They're not really gonna go hand to hand. So what does that mean?
Knives
That
and
means
guns.
they bring heavy artillery. So listen, like and that's the thing. You're on their turf. This is what guys forget. Like this isn't Brooklyn. This isn't this isn't this isn't Compton. This isn't Dallas. This isn't Atlanta. This isn't Boston. This isn't like you are in their territory. You're in Guadalajara. You're in Mexico City. They're from there. So like they know how to find you. They know how to find you, and they will find you, and they can pay people off. Like
and they'll get away with it. There's no consequences for them, and they have nothing to lose a lot of times too.
No, exactly. They have nothing to lose. And what people don't realize is the biggest flex that you could do, because popping bottles and all that is not the biggest flex. The biggest flex, you've already done the biggest flex. The biggest flex is you getting on a plane and getting here, because they know that it's expensive to get to these places. So you don't have to pop bottles or any of that stuff. All you have to do is just be calm and be cool and show respect. When you show respect, they're going to show you so much love, because they're going to say, man, thank you for coming to our country. Thank you for being humble, and that's and that's it. They already know that you got to spend money to get on the airplane to get there. So they already know you have money. You don't have to overdo it. You don't have to throw money. You don't have to get into altercations with the bouncer or the locals or be abrasive with the local woman and things like that. Like, be cool. There was a video. Sorry.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I always say. So Latin America is kind of like a force amplifier. You have the best and worst people in the world in a lot of these countries. So it really depends on how you show up. So I always have that role too. And I've done the U.S. I've been to like black nightclubs in Atlanta. I've been I used to go to Compton when I lived in Southern California, because they had good soul food and Creole food. And outside of that, they didn't. And people would ask me like, bro, like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, no, I'll just be cool. And the people kind of look at you like, what the hell are you doing here? And I was like, hey, I heard this is where really cool people go, and I heard you have the best Creole food in Southern California. Is that true? Oh, yeah, it's so-and-so's place. Yeah, it's over here, actually. And at first, they're kind of like, what are you doing in our neighborhood? And same thing when you go abroad. What are you doing in our country? You goddamn gringo? You lost here? It's like, hey, I heard, I say it in Spanish. I was like, I heard this is where the pretty people go, and this is where cool people go to have a good time. Am I right? Or am I wrong? Is this the right place? Like, oh, yeah. And immediately they'll change their tone, and they're super anywhere in the world. Yeah. Any ethnicity, background, race, creed, whatever. If you just come at people cool, they're usually really happy to be hospitable towards you.
No.
I've never had someone out of the blue come and just give me a bad time, because usually I'm walking around with a smile on my face. Like I said, birds chirping, beautiful spring-like weather. I'm in a good mood all the time. So people will just reflect that back to you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. When you speak, when you speak calm and you're humble and you just say, thank you, I appreciate it, and your people are friendly. Just long story short, when you are humble, people will treat you with so much love and respect, man. And you don't have to come there bringing the bravado of you got to flex it in the United States and all that, because that's left in the United States, man. That's how people act in the United States. Like, I remember you said that. I think you said that you had went back and like you didn't really feel comfortable because people in the United States, like like they're just
they were all standoffish. Even at the bar waiting in line, guys would crowd your space. I was with a girl. I went to Tampa a few months ago.
Yeah,
guys would crowd my space, and the place was wide open. It wasn't like a popular night or anything. Bro, you all right? Like, I kind of I'm a big guy too. I put my arm around him. I was like, need me to help you out there? You have a little too much to drink. You okay? And then if I've learned a couple of tricks too, if they do start kind of getting a little more aggressive, I match their energy with more energy, but the words throw them for a loop. So for example, and I've had this happen a few times in California. Mm-hmm. Someone comes up like, hey bro, what the hell are you looking at? I was like, I'm looking at buying you a drink. What are you drinking? That's what I'm looking at. And they're drunk, obviously. Yeah. So it's like double IPA and then
that's good. That's good.
That one works good. I've never gotten a fight using that line. Just match their energy. Like, I'm buying you around. What are you drinking?
Yeah.
Like, how are you gonna fight a guy who just bought you a drink?
That's good. No, that's good. That's good because that's a good way of de-escalating, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to see if you're gonna back down. you know, and you're like, hey, what's up, bro? Man, let's get a shot. You know, let's get tequila, let's get some Casamigo, whatever the case is, you know. And that's good, man. That's good. usually I'm thankful like I haven't really been in much situations where people press. Like, I don't know how tall you are, but I'm 6'2".
It rarely happens. I'm 5'11", but I'm about as
Okay.
wide as I am tall. So I'm built like a rugby player. My dad is actually a rugby player, so I'm built just like a rugby player. So just stout, stocky. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I'm a big boy, but I'm 6'2". So like you know, I'm not gonna say like I'm the toughest guy in the world, but you know, typically like you know, like I haven't really ever gotten like pressed like that. But like it you know, if I guess because usually like I'm very like, you know, laid back. So if people see me or whatever, you know what I mean?